As people across the country are heading to their own polls tonight.
Some races drawing nationwide attention. Our Robert Sherman is standing by at our national news desk. Robert, which races are catching your eye right now?
Well, we just lost a graphic here for a moment. Here it comes back. We're in the very early stages of this evening in the House of Representatives. The magic number is 218. Republicans came in with 240 seats. Now they're sitting with 26 to the Democrats' 28. But we have a long way to go tonight in the House. But the House of Representatives is going to be the big story. But it's not the only story tonight. We also have a couple of national races. Let's dive in right now. We've got the Florida governor's race. Look at that right there. It is neck and neck. Still waiting on a few more votes to come in. We're waiting on Broward County. Last we checked there, we only had 50% reporting from Broward and still a few more votes needed up in the Panhandle. Here's the Georgia governor's race. Brian Kemp has tiptoed out to a pretty solid lead, 65% over Stacey Abrams right now at 35%, who is trying to become the country's first African-American female governor. And then let's also look at Indiana right now. Mike Braun, look at that, 58% to Joe Donnelly, 42%. The incumbent, the Democrat in Indiana, running for a second term, but Mike Braun right now with a very sizable lead. We're still waiting on a few more votes coming from the state of Indiana. You still need more votes in the Evansville area and also up in Indianapolis. So there's still a little bit more of a way to go. That precinct is at about 48%. So we're not done in the Hoosier State yet, but that is a pretty sizable lead right there in Indiana. We got a few more races that we're going to be looking at. Going back to the House for a second, there are a few races that we've been looking at right now, at least 5 or 6 in which Republican-held seats are currently leaning towards the Democrat Party. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on the House of Representatives throughout the rest of the evening. We've also got a lot more races on the national scene. Votes are just starting to come in Texas. We're also getting right down to the wire in the Florida Senate race. That one is neck and neck as well. There was actually just a recent call. Sherrod Brown has defeated Jim Renacci in the state of Ohio in the Senate. So there are a few more votes that are coming in right now, and we'll keep you up to date. Jack, Sherry?
Robert, thank you very much. I did a straw poll today of among 5 people, probably the worst ever at my election
Is that really
place.
a straw poll?
Well, some people just saying they're for the first time in a long time not voting straight party tickets, but they're voting for a few Republicans and a few Democrats. Interesting, those numbers from Indiana, the incumbent Democrat losing to a Republican right now. What a night.
The verdict, of course, still out because
sure.
it is very early.
Yeah.
I do want to point out Robert made the point about what's happening in the Georgia governor's race, and our news team came into the studio and said that they've actually extended the hours voting there to 10 o'clock tonight because the turnout is so heavy. And so with such heavy turnout, when people are still casting their ballots, it is kind of hard. And as Steve has said, we will have a long, long night. Robert, are you watching some of what's happening with the Georgia governor's race? And when we heard that news, it's amazing to me that they're even getting this information in. But there are some places, some precincts in Georgia where people are lined up and expected to be in line for a few more hours.
That explains a lot, Sherry. I mean, we're only looking at about 20% of the votes that have come in Georgia so far. You're still looking at major metropolitan areas in which we haven't gotten anything. We don't have any votes from Atlanta. We don't have any votes from Savannah right now. So as you said, there's still very much so a long way to go in that Georgia race, and that explains why it's a few paces behind what we've seen in Florida so far. Long way to go in Georgia, but I mean, as you see, there is that big gap right there in the polling, but this race is not over, to say the least.
A long way to go and high turnout, a good problem to have in midterm elections tonight in Georgia and here in Alabama. We assume people could still be in line at some places.